Irina, almost flashbacks from last year, this matchup between yourself and Begim. You start off with the white pieces, you get an early advantage out of the opening. What surprised you at the beginning?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything surprised me. I certainly didn't know what was the evaluation of the position. You know, her choice of bishop g4, queen's gambit accepted was not something that came to my mind. And, you know, it's funny because I tried this line myself maybe a few times in my life, and most recently against Humpy Koneru a few years ago. And so I know that if white doesn't play very aggressively, like black can count on equality in this line. So I just came up with this move, queen b3, you know, not because I knew anything here, like how this would go, but just, I mean, I knew it should be like a testing move. But I thought she had a lot of compensation for the pawn.
And it does seem like bishop takes f3 first, and perhaps this is what she messed up about her position. Bishop takes f3, and then knight to d7 is the main line. Yes. Yeah,
well, you know, if you don't have any computer analysis, it's very hard to wade like through this position. Like, I had no idea what was going on for probably like 15 moves.
Do you feel she still knew what she's doing at this point? Or?
I felt like maybe queen b3 surprised her a bit. You know, I think she knew this knight d7 idea, but like, you know, her real thinking was after queen b7. Like, I was actually thinking, like, if she goes rook b8 instead, can I just take the second pawn? I was going to take it. You know, I was like, well, I don't know why it's losing, so, you know, I was probably going to take it. And there were so many times in this game where I could have taken a pawn, and it was like some difficult decisions in that way.
And I think that was one of the moments after c5, knight d2, and now rook to b8, you could have still taken the pawn on.
Queen c8 was what I didn't like here, because queen c8 and, okay, interesting, queen so I can escape, with queen a6. That seemed, yeah, you know what, I think that move I didn't really.
And if she goes to d8, then you have queen c6 later on, and if she goes to c7, then she doesn't have a way to attack your queen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was trying to figure out her idea in giving up that pawn. And so I came up with this queen c8, and I kind of believed, and I was like, oh, she has ideas of, like, you know, cd, and then like rook b6, rook b4, win the bishop. I mean, like, so yeah.
You trusted her.
In a way, I mean, I calculated it, but, you know,
just
not
to
well
interrupt you
enough.
for a second, I do believe our playoff match between Ray Robson and Sam Shankland has begun. Let's get back to it, Irina.
Yeah, well, they have a few more minutes, I think, to get into something interesting here.
10 minutes, we're going to have some fun with your game now.
Yeah.
Tell us about
so, I mean, basically, I just felt like she had a lot of compensation for a long time. Even here, like, I was wondering, should I take the pawn? Why didn't I take it here? It was...
this probably would have been the worst place to take it. So you made the right decision.
Intuitively, you know, I went bishop e2, and it's funny, I went to e2 because I was still thinking of taking with a knight on d4, and I didn't want my bishop to be hit with knight c5.
Yeah.
But when she took on d4, then I was like, you know, I thought she still had a lot of compensation after knight d4, and so I went for this ed position. Yeah, so this plan with bishop g6 and bishop c2 was definitely wrong. Like, I could feel that because I actually realized, because my bishop's on e2, she might have this idea, but I was like, but it's actually not that good. Like, I get to castle, she spends a couple of moves with this bishop.
And she doesn't castle herself.
Yeah, she's not castled, and basically she's not winning my queen. So at this point, I knew I was doing really well. And the only thing is that, technically speaking, this was still pretty tricky.
This was a task,
Yeah, I mean, winning with those doubled pawns, and I'll just tell you, like, knight d3 was, I'll show you something kind of interesting. Wait. Oh, can I show you a trap? Go back a couple of moves.
At what point?
Instead of queen b7. For example, if she goes queen d6 here, because of the threat was, you know, rook takes b4, I have knight takes f7. I really did want to do this idea.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah, it would have been quite nice, because I pick up everything, you know, on this whole 6th rank and the b4 knight.
And the b4 knight is standing as well, so you don't get a rook and 2 pieces, but a rook and 1 piece, and this is completely losing.
Yeah, but she played queen b7. She must have seen that. But this gave me this chance to play knight d3. I mean, to transition with this trade of knights to finally win the a6 pawn.
And perhaps this was her last moment to try to save the game with a move rook to b8. She has to focus on the b pawn, not the d pawn.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. I mean, okay, we keep going. I'll show you the other move that I thought was interesting.
Yep.
So here, big decision. So basically, the idea of rook d1 was to provoke this e5 move, right? Like I figured, like actually the whole point was to give my bishop on a6 like a better life, and so I had to get her to play
get it to
e5.
c4.
Yes, and that bishop won me the game.
Yes,
and it's incredible,
yes, it did.
like how you tell students like focus on your pieces, take care of your pieces so they can help you. And I took care of that bishop, and he won the game for me.
The bishop did indeed win the game. The bishop and the double pawns, in fact, the double b pawns, right?
Yeah.
And after that, you clinically defended everything. No checks on f1.
It didn't feel clinical to me. I mean, it was scary with those seconds on the clock, and when I had to allow her knight to f3. I mean, intuitively, you really don't want to do that.
But you have to.
Yeah.
But you have to continue pushing your pawn, and that's exactly what you did in the right configuration. She never was able to get in time to your king, right?
Yeah.
It was this race between you promoting the pawn and her getting to your king. She never got there, and you won after 2 queens on the board. That's a nice
double
finish.
check or discovered check, yeah.
Irina tomorrow with the black pieces. Obviously, she will be coming to the game with aggressive intentions.
Yeah, it's a good thing I'm aggressive too.
There we go. It's going to be definitely a fiery matchup. Guys, any questions for Irina?
Congratulations, Irina. Very, very impressive 3-0. Good luck tomorrow for your match.
Thank you, Yasser.
Absolutely. Jumping to our playoff